Hey everybody, it's Rajesh here.
And Tane here.
Welcome to our podcast, Baskets of Knowledge, Chats with a Difference. In our podcast, we invite guests from around the country and around the world to talk about how they got to where they're at the moment. It's about a journey, it's about an experience, it's about their life. Good everybody, welcome to another episode of Baskets of Knowledge. And today you only have me because Tane is away. He couldn't make it today because he's away doing some fundraising for his girls rugby team. We're going to play some rugby thing next week. I'm sure you told me, but I forgot him, so that's pretty terrible. Oops. So you have me today. And as always, we're going to have a bit of a chat about my learning from the week. And this week was a pretty interesting week for me because I had two big events. One was a technology event, and one was a pretty cool event where we had 150 young females and teaching them on leadership. But the crazy thing for me was I was the only male in the room, which is pretty intimidating, pretty daunting if you think about it. But it was really cool because we had 150 year 13s from schools across Christchurch who came along as leaders, potential leaders, and they were in the room and we spoke about what it is like to be a leader. And in my role, I got to speak to them about having allies. So, when we speak to most people, you only get to where you are because you have allies. Trying to do something by yourself is never going to be successful. So, we spoke about leadership, and there's this narrative out there about gender, male versus female leaders, which is true in most places. But my angle that I spoke about was having an ally that is a male, or an ally that is not the same as you, is going to get you further. So don't get, and this is important for me as well. I thought about this as I was doing my talk, that we look for allies and people that can help you move forward, and not try and do everything ourselves. And if we try to do things ourselves, we're not going to get anywhere. So that's my learning, and that was my learning from the week, that hey, allies come in all shapes, forms, colors, and um, genders. Doesn't actually matter as long as they're in the same vision as you. They're good to have in your corner. So that's my wee monologue for today. And we're going to switch focus, and we're going to, as always, we invite guests from all across the country and all across the world because we think everyone is amazing. And for regular listeners, thank you for jumping in. And today I'm very privileged and very honored and very excited to have Sneha on our podcast. Welcome to our podcast, Sneha.
Oh, thank you so much.
Beautiful. Sneha, for our listeners who don't know anything about you, do you want to tell them who you are and what are you doing at this point in time?
So my name is Sneha, and I was a student at the University of Otago. I graduated last year in around August 2023. I'm currently at Christchurch. So I moved to Christchurch as part of my hospital placement. So I pursued medical laboratory science. So I finished that off, and now I'm working as a community manager at one of the halls of residence at UC. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me and my background with Otago. Yeah.
Awesome, beautiful. And I guess if we go right back, you're in Christchurch right now, but where is home actually for you? Where have you come from? Where are your roots?
So I am from India. So I'm from the southern part of India called Kerala. My family, they moved to New Zealand when I was about 7. And I lived in Auckland and Palmy. So I did my high school in Palmerston North before I moved down to Dunedin for my 4 years of bachelor's. Then I moved to Christchurch, and my family's not currently in New Zealand. They're located in Australia. So I'm the only one here.
Yeah, what is that like, because you moved together as a family and now you're family in Australia and you're in Otahi. What is that like for you?
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm quite enjoying the independence of it. I do miss them here and there, but I always keep myself occupied. So I'm always on the move. So I don't think about it too much, or I don't want to sit in my room and cry or anything like that. I just avoid that by keeping myself occupied.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, awesome. That's really cool. So let's talk about your studies. So you went to the University of Otago and you did mid-lab sci. Was that something that you really wanted to do, or was it something that fell into you as you were doing your study?
Yeah, so I came to do medicine, and then I got into dentistry, and that was not really something that I was like, yeah, I want to do. So and I've always wanted to do research, and I realized that med lab sci would get me into research and all those kind of aspects of academics. So that's the reason why I jumped into med lab sci. But I am going to be doing an MD after. So I'm taking a little bit of a break at the moment, just working, getting some money, and then yeah, I'm gonna go back and do MD next year.
Awesome. Awesome. Very, very cool. That's very exciting for you. So let's talk about your journey into the 4-year program, I guess. What is it like for you? First of all, getting to a program, and a program that initially is super competitive, and then get into a program that you go, right, cool, I'm gonna give it a crack. What are the challenges for you as you were navigating that?
Um, I think, yeah, like as you said, like health sci is quite competitive, and I did it in 2019 when there was a huge shift to the course program. There was a lot of changes that they did in 2019. Um, Even like the introduction of population 192, that was a huge difference from the previous year. So we couldn't really go to anybody for help or anything like that. And I think the way I navigated through it was I just gave it my best, the best I could. And I did have reasonably good grades and everything, but yeah, but it's just up to, I don't know, it's up to God on like what you get into, and there's always a reason. So I just went with like, oh yeah, I got into this, I'll do this. And I didn't see a point of me pursuing dentistry if I didn't have a passion for it. And I felt like there were other people who had like really strong interest in it, and there's no point of me pursuing something that I'm not going to be fully invested in. Yeah.
And that's so true because lots of some people be like, oh, you got offered dentistry school, why don't you take it? But you're like, actually, wait a minute, I just applied, it wasn't my thing. And there's no
Yeah.
point doing something such a thing. Like you said before, there's others out there that want to become dentists, so why would you take
Yeah.
this spot away from them? And why did you go to Dunedin? I mean, you said you lived in Auckland and Palmy, so the North Island is your jam. Why would you choose to leave the comfort of the North to come down south?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I didn't, okay. When I looked at both campuses, Auckland and Otago, for me, Otago looked more appealing. And I was like, oh yeah, I love the campus. It's very nice and bright, and like the energy I was getting from just looking at the photos on the website. So I was like, yeah, I think this is the place that I want to go to. And not anything bad about Auckland, but it's just the vibe of Otago. I prefer that a bit more. Yeah.
And I think that's important to know. There's all fantastic universities around the country and around the world, and you're just going to find the place that's right for you. There's no good or bad. It's just whatever is right for
Yeah.
you at that particular time. Let's tell us about your role as a community manager. What does it actually involve? What does it actually mean?
Um, so at Dunedin, I worked as a residential assistant or an RA for about is it 4? Yeah, about 4 years. Yeah. No, sorry, 3 years. So from
Yeah.
2020 22. And I really liked working with first year students and just students in general. And over that time I realized like, oh, I can help, you know, like what do you call it, like construct like a good event plan, um and take care of them when they're going through like anxiety or depression or like, all those kind of stuff. And I quite enjoy doing that. As an RA, it wasn't really that hands on because we don't really deal with those scenarios where we just pass it on to the upper management. I quite liked that role. And when I moved to Christchurch, they had the role of a residential life coordinator available. And I was like, oh yeah, it works with my hospital placement hours. And yeah, it's like a job that I can do as well. And I'm gonna enjoy it. And so that's the reason why I opted for the role of a community manager and a residential life coordinator. So what the job consists is what I do is I make event plans, and I basically plan out all the events that I want the residents to do. So there's 5 categories that we do: health and well-being, sustainability, community, social, um there's one more, cultural. So yeah, so I base it on like 5 different categories. So I make sure that it caters for all of their needs. And I also I do a lot of pastoral care, so I do welfare checks on them. And if there's anything that requires urgent attention, I'm the one that deals with it. And then if it needs referral, I send them on to um more important or like important areas that they need to see. So like counseling or whatever that's required then. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So that's pretty exciting. That's pretty full on, I guess. With your living basically. Do you live on site as well, or do you live off site?
No, I live off site.
Oh, cool. Because living on site would be pretty crazy, right? It's pretty full on. You've
Like,
done the 3 years of living on site.
yeah, it's very crazy living on site. I'm living off site.
Yeah, it's really interesting. A lot of the people that we have had on this podcast, you have been RAs or have been subordinates or have been tutors in some way or form, and it's pretty cool that the core thing that links them all together is they want to help people navigate that pretty crazy time of being a first year student, which is pretty. It's quite a journey. It's quite a
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah.
And what is your hospital placement like? So you study, you're doing your studying, you do all your theory, and then off you go into a hospital placement. What is that like for you?
It was very difficult. Like last year when I had to navigate myself through that semester, it was very, very difficult. Time management was a big thing because I wake up at like 5 a.m. because every day for my hospital placement, and then I'm at the hospital until 1 o'clock, then busing back to my workplace. And I used to work from 2 to 10:30. So that was like my schedule for like 4 days, 5 days straight. And then I would get one day. I mean, the weekend was off from hospital, but I still had work on that one day, so I would have work. But my proper day off was Sunday,
Yeah.
and day when I actually sleep in and like go to the gym and like catch up with my friends and do my assignments. So yeah, I don't know how I did it, but I managed my way through it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. And what is it like being in a hospital environment as a, I guess, as a student, but not really a student? That crazy flux of shifting into a different frame. What is that like for you?
Yeah. It's yeah, I really enjoy being a student. And that is the reason why I'm still like I'm enrolled with UC, so I'm doing like a postgrad dip in business with them. I thought this would be my gap year, but that did not happen. I really enjoy studying that. I'm like, yeah, I want to go back. I want to do something else. Um, yeah, being a student and in the hospital environment, it is quite different. You you meet and learn from a lot of people. Like I've had interactions with doctors, I've had interactions with technicians, lab technicians, scientists, nurses. So it's just been like a journey of growth. Like when you're in the hospital, there's so much to learn, and as a student, it's everything is like wonder for you because you're like, oh my god, like I've only seen this on like TV or like I haven't seen this in real life, and then when you encounter situations like that, it's very very interesting. Yeah.
Oh, crazy. Any moments that stand up for you while you were doing that placement?
Oh, I think there was this one scenario. I don't know. I don't think it's like it's nothing to do with like learning or anything. I guess
Yeah.
I did learn how to handle a conflict, but there was a situation where this patient and this doctor was there was like a little conflict and it was getting quite loud and kind of out of hand, but I still really liked the way the doctor handled it with so much like patience and grace. Yeah, I think that's something I learned from that, but it was just yeah, so it still sticks in my mind.
Yeah, I think every moment is a learning moment. Even though it might not be a formal learning moment, you still learn from any interactions. That's really really cool. And talking about learning, let's talk about what inspired you to run for Miss Canterbury. Let's talk about the Miss Canterbury event. What is the motivation for that there, and what actually is it? Let's start right from the beginning. Let's assume we know nothing about it and how it all started for you.
Yeah, so Miss Canterbury is ran by Meg Kenny. So she's the national director. She runs Miss Canterbury, Miss Auckland, and Miss New Zealand. Um, so the reason why I decided to do it is as part of like a self development journey, and I've always been into modeling and photos and videos. I really enjoyed all those aspects of things, and I thought this was like a great way for me to step out of my comfort zone. I did Miss India New Zealand in 2022, and that was like my first like cracking my shell open and actually getting myself out there. But this actually made me um do a lot of things that I always wanted to do. Like for example, like the Rhythm of Hope dance workshop. Like dance workshops are something that I've always wanted to do, and this gave me a reason to actually step out there and establish something like that. Um, and yeah, and I've always wanted to represent the Indian culture on the national platform one way or the other. So I'm just gonna keep going and just being that Kiwi Indian Wahine that's gonna be on that platform and just representing me and representing my culture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful. That's a great start. Let's go back again. Let's go a little back. So let's talk about why did you what made you go for Miss New Zealand India? What is
Oh
the
yeah.
motivation for that? Because we start with that, and then we go into the next phase. Yeah.
Yeah, so I went for Miss India New Zealand in 2022, and that was like really difficult at that time as well because I had exams.
Yep.
I placement as well. This happened around like October when exam time really peaks. So yeah, I was at Auckland for like 3 days with their workshops, and we had talent rounds. It was like a proper pageant except for the charity work and the awareness part of things, but it was a proper pageant. Um yeah, the reason why I went for that was because I've always liked modeling. I've always liked pageants. I think and that was like a first step for me. And before putting myself on a national, I mean it is a national pageant, but with I want to represent my culture and just be with other Indian women and actually portray that first before I went on to any other pageant. So that I think that's the reason why I stepped onto that. And I've always followed that. I think from the age of 14,
Oh
I've
wow.
looked at what Miss India New Zealand is. I was always into pageants. I was always into modeling. So I knew it existed, but it did not happen for a few years, and they came back with it again in 2022. Yeah, so I just got
Stepped
into
on.
it. Yeah.
And what is it like for you as a young Indian wahine, as you said before, living in a country that's crazy diverse, and as you've seen, there are there's a lot more representation of Indians in so many different aspects of New Zealand life, from cricketing to modeling to the culinary arts, to celebrating Diwali and Holi. It's now becoming more mainstream as opposed to the past where it was like, oh, just a small community. What is it like for you seeing that happen and when you're on the stage, when you're representing yourself as a young Indian New Zealander?
Yeah. I mean, I was very proud to be on that platform with a lot of people, a lot of other amazing girls as well. Um, yeah, I felt really proud that I got that platform. And I think personally for me, it was also an achievement because I am Indian, but moreover, I'm a darker skinned Indian girl, which is not really, it's not something that people celebrate a lot. If you're slightly dark skinned, it's not something that people will be like, oh, she's pretty, but she's more fair, even more better. Like I've got that like throughout my life. And I think just getting myself out there and being like, nah, no matter what skin color you are, you're so beautiful. It's all about the confidence and how you see yourself. It's about the perspective of things. I think I really want to change that because I know personally there are so many little kids um that still go through this, like when their parents are like, oh, don't go outside, like it's sunny, or where's this, wear your cap, all that kind of stuff, when they come back putting like face masks on them so that you become fair, because that's what's normalized in society, like at least in our Indian society, maybe not so much in the Western culture, because I think after coming to New Zealand, that's when I actually learned to embrace my skin tone, and I always get compliments for my skin tone more than ever. Like no one has ever told me like, oh, that color doesn't suit you, or that doesn't, no, 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 don't do that, or don't do this. I've always got praises for my skin color, and it's been the straight opposite if I am with my Indian community or Indian cultured people. It's just a bit different. So I think I use this platform just to embrace who I am as a person and just, yeah, setting myself out there.
I think it's really funny that you mentioned that funny, but the irony because when I go visit India and go down the aisles, you just see so many bleaching products and skin lightening products, so crazy. And then when you come to the Western world, you see so many aisles of bronzing and darkening products. I'm like, this is so funny. It makes me laugh out. It just makes me laugh.
It's crazy, really crazy. Like I feel like we just don't embrace what we have
Yeah,
already.
yeah.
Um,
It's pretty awesome. And for people that don't understand the Indian culture and not the culture actually, it's the stereotypical world in India. Like they unfortunately in Indian thought processes from a long time ago, the darker your skin is, the less attractive or you are seen in a lower caste is the way the world is
yeah,
developed, which is why people go, hey, the darker your skin is, the
yeah.
I don't know, the list is viable, which is pretty crazy, and this comes from a long, 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 long time of imprinting, and it's pretty crazy that it's still in today in 2024. It still exists.
I know it is very, very interesting.
So you obviously awesome. You did it. You jumped on stage. You got involved there, and then now you took the next stage. All right, cool. You've done it within your community, done it within your culture, and now you go right. Cool. I'm going to go into a bigger stage and go into Miss Canterbury. And the reason why I speak of Miss Canterbury because this is going to sound crazy, but out there people think that Christchurch is probably one of the most racist cities in New Zealand. So what is that like for you? Which is, but I don't know if that's true, but there's a myth out there. What is that like for you representing? Getting out there, being hey, actually, because I saw you have some videos. You were on the street talking to people, doing some pretty cool things there. How is it like for you being a non-Pakeha person, doing that kind of stuff there?
I don't think I've ever experienced
Beautiful.
anything
Yep.
that's related to racism. I've only met really, really good people. I think maybe it's because of the people you surround yourself with as well. If you have really good people surrounding you, you just yeah, I've never had an issue
Which is
at
awesome.
Christ.
It's
Yeah.
awesome. It's really awesome. It's just this myth that people talk about, and there's myths and things that people always talk about, the stereotypical about different places. Um, you mentioned the big difference with Miss Canterbury was the charities and the awareness in that space there. Tell us about the two charities that you picked and why did you pick those two charities?
So I fundraised for I Am Hope. And I Am Hope focuses on the youth's mental health and well-being. They provide amazing counseling sessions, and Gumboot Friday is like a great initiative that they have taken on as well. And they go to a lot of schools and even talk to the students and just increase awareness in them about mental health and well-being. And I think very important because as I was growing up, it was not something that was talked about a lot.
Hmm.
But it felt like there was no awareness about it at school. I didn't even know who I could go to, who I could talk to if there's anything that is really taunting me. But I really think it's a great organization to be part of, and I still want to continue doing work with them, and yeah, so that is the reason why I chose I Am Hope. Um, and Brave NZ is amazing. It was started by Jess Tyson, so she um was a Miss New Zealand in 2018, and she's really amazing. She's a really really awesome lady, one of the most sweetest women I've met. Um, so the reason why she started that was to increase awareness about sexual harm and just provide the right support for people who have been through that. And it is a very very difficult situation to surpass. So it's amazing to have an organization like this to assist them to get through it. So yeah, that was the reason why I chose both those charities.
And what was it like for you? What did you learn about yourself as you were going through those? Because we all align with a charity, with whatever charity, but when you start working in those charities, you actually learn a lot about yourself. And what are some things that you learned about yourself as you were, or your world as you were working with them?
Yeah. Um, I think when I was working with the things I realized was I thought I had a decent amount of knowledge about, youth mental health and well-being. But then the more I worked with them and the more I worked on doing awareness videos and everything, that's when I realized, oh, I don't think I know that much about it. And there's more to it than just the superficial level of things that we see. There's so much hard work and effort that goes into them doing fundraising events and, you know, doing awareness posts and videos. There's a lot that goes into it. So I think I appreciate the hard work and effort that they put into each post and each videos. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy when you get involved in something and you realize actually there's a lot more depth to everything. There's a purpose. There's a reason why things are done in certain ways.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and one of the things I want to talk about is things are done in certain ways. You spoke about rhythm of hope earlier on. Let's talk about that. The way dance. You mentioned dance. Is that something that is part of your identity, and is that where you find joy? And you tell us about that there.
Yeah. So dancing is something that I've done since the age of 2 or 3, and I've loved it. It's like an escape for me from reality. Um, and yeah, I was really active in Otago as well when it came to dancing. I was part of the ISA, the Indian Students Association, and I was in pretty much like 3 or 4 dances every year. I choreographed a dance in 2022, and even I think inter college dance comp started around 2021, I think. So I choreoed for Unicall for two dances. So one was a group and one was a solo. And we managed to win. We got the cup that year. So I quite enjoy dancing. I enjoy choreoing. I enjoy teaching people choreos. If you would, even if you see me like listening to music, I'm choreoing in my mind. Like I don't know how to like just sit down and just listen to music. I'm subconsciously creating choreos. So it's just something that I've always been interested in. Um, yeah.
Okay, so and why rhythm of hope? What is the how did you think of that idea as part of your fundraising, I guess, or your awareness?
Yeah. So I've always wanted to incorporate my heritage and my culture um into the pageant, and I thought, setting up a dance workshop would be the best way for me to incorporate that. And I chose Rhythm of Hope because I was sponsored by Rhythm House um events and films, and that's ran by Dharmesh. Dharmesh was my primary sponsor for Miss Canterbury. So I thought I'll add rhythm, and of hope is because of the charity that I chose to support. Uh, so yeah, so that's the reason why I chose Rhythm of Hope as the name.
That's very, very, very clever. And also, I mean, when you're dancing, you're in rhythm, right? So it has so many different easy, cool connotations. And when you have rhythm, you have hope. So it's really, really cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
And when you started doing those workshops, do you reckon you'd carry on doing those workshops? That you know that you said you wanted to do it, and you're like, hey, what is it? What does
Yeah,
it feel like? Go, hey, well, this is pretty cool.
yeah. So it is something that I'm going to continue. Um, and I'm talking to like dance studios and things like that, so I can get places booked out and just continue doing this. And I want all the money that I gain from the workshops to go towards I'm Hope. So I'm going to continue that incentive. And if I get to perform on stage or anything like that, that's more like promotion part of things. And if I get paid for it, and if I have dancers who are with me, then I'll pay them for that. So that's the way that I want to run this collective. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, awesome. That's really, really quite cool. And fingers crossed, I'm not fingers crossed. I'm sure it'll grow and be pretty awesome. I think it's got the potential of being a countrywide thing because it is pretty universal. Everyone loves dance. Everyone loves music. You just need someone to teach you how to do that. Then boom, happy days.
Yeah.
And now let's talk about your experience of Miss Canterbury. So, this happened last week, Sunday. We're recording on, what's the date today? We're recording on the 24th. What is that whole process for you like? I was observing how it all went for you through social media, but what is it like for you in person as you go through the pre-judging, the judging, and all that? Because
Yeah.
obviously we don't know what happens. You have to tell us. You have to talk us through like we don't know what goes on.
Yep. So with Miss Canterbury, they provide heaps of like really awesome workshops and things like that. We have really amazing women coming in and speaking to us about leadership and um, diet, workout, lifestyle changes that we could make, and social media, how to use social media correctly, what kind of um, like different techniques that we could use to make videos. So we had heaps of workshops, heaps of online workshops, and they were all really helpful. And we had a 2-day boot camp in January. So that's when we were taught on like pageant walks and our choreos and things like that. And then we went away and we worked on our charity projects and our awareness videos, and our choreos for our prejudging and our judging nights. And then we came back again in early March, and Meg helped us through. Meg and Georgia Waddington. So Georgia is Miss New Zealand. Um, she both of them helped us to brush up our, just polish up our choreos, our walk choreos, and yeah. And then the following week we had our prejudging. So my prejudging was last week on Saturday. So prejudging involves like an interview process, and then we have our resort wear, um, our evening gown, and our talent round, and that's basically a whole day of prejudging. And the points are accumulated, and then there's Miss Social Media, Miss Social Media Queen, and Eco Tourism, Eco Angel. tourism sashes. So there are different sashes, and those are all based on how much work you do uh, around like promoting certain things. So that's basically assessed by Meg. Um, and then yeah, and then on the final day we had mm, training in the morning. So we were taught to walk on stage and just confirming all of our choreos and everything like that. And then we had fashion wear, evening gown, and yeah, that was pretty much it. Then we had our Q&A session, and we're in the top five. And yeah, the announcement. It was a very nice and sweet.
Beautiful.
Yeah, 2 days, I guess. Yeah, it was very stressful. Prejudging was quite stressful, but I think on the final night, I was way more relaxed. Yeah.
And I guess, you say the 2 days, but it's actually a combination of lots of months, lots of weeks of work, and it just comes down to those 2 days when everyone just goes, all right, cool. But actually, wait a minute, there's been lots of months of
Yeah.
everything to lead up to that day. And
Yeah.
was your family or your was anybody around when this, or were they watching you from Australia? What is it like for you now? Because obviously you're in Christchurch, and others might have all their fun or they're supporting them. What is it like for you?
Yeah. My family, they couldn't come, but
Yes.
was a few live streams that was put up on the Miss Canterbury page that they followed up on. Yeah, they were quite happy. They were quite proud. They were kind of sad that they couldn't come, but
Yeah.
maybe next, maybe a bigger platform and they can come.
Yeah, awesome. And I guess that's the beauty of technology, right? So you can still do it, and they can still watch you from wherever in the world. And actually, it's probably a better thing because more people can watch you because it's technology. You go, actually, wait a minute, anyone can watch me now, and there should be no excuses. So better watch me. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And what is it like for you as the announcement was made? So I'm not going to tell. You can tell our listeners how that was like for you, and how you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I wasn't even thinking about an outcome.
Yep.
So I did the best I could. I finalized my spot at the end of January, which is quite late. Like a day before the boot camp was when I told Meg, yeah, I'll do it. I was
Yep.
very and because I got a promotion at my workplace and I was moving to a new place and it's a lot of adjusting, and I was also studying, and I was like, I don't think I have time, and pageants, it does require quite a lot of time. And Meg was like, no, I think you can do it. And then she was really she said, I can see a potential, and you just, I think you should give it a go. And yeah, so yeah, that's the reason why I stepped up to do it. Or yeah, I kind of felt I felt bad a little bit when I did get a spot. I mean, it's just because I felt like, there were so many other girls who were working on this since like November or December, and I kind of felt like, oh, I just came out of like nowhere. And I felt proud, but at the same time I was like, oh, you know but yeah, I think I wasn't expecting to be in top five or anything like that, but I'm really glad um I got in, I guess. Yeah, I guess I did put a lot of effort in the month and a bit that I did work on it. So yeah.
I think that's important because, if people listen, they go, oh, everything's all hunky dory and everything's all sweet. But actually, there's a lot of imposter syndrome that goes on. There's a lot of
Yeah.
doubt. There's a lot of questioning, lots of things. As you said before, I feel bad because others have been preparing for this for a long time. And this is across everything, but if you don't, but again, like we said right at the start, when you have an ally, so Meg was your ally, and make sure it's like, actually, hey, wait a minute. I can
Yeah.
think give it a crack, but it's really open. And thank you for sharing that there because it's really hard to go. Actually, hey, it was actually quite challenging and pretty vulnerable to go. Oh,
Yeah.
actually, maybe not. Maybe I'm not good enough, or whatever your the thing is. So yeah. So thank you for sharing that there. And then you get announced in the top five. And what's that like for you? As you're like, whoa, wait a minute, this is. I mean, obviously, you said you were an outcome focused, but we're all humans. We're all humans. Let's be honest, right? We're all humans. And
Yeah.
when we get into a certain level, we get a bit excited. We get happy, right? We're proud of ourselves.
Yeah. I was very proud. I was very happy when I got into top five. Um yeah, I was with like so many amazing girls, and being chosen from that into the top five, I was like, wow, like that's amazing. Um yeah, I don't know, I can't describe the feeling, like, because when you're in that position, you're like, wow, like I'm here, but then, oh, I have a Q&A session. Like, you're happy, but at the same time, you're like, hold on, I have the next step
It's,
as
it's, it's
well.
not over. It's not over yet, right? Got to keep going. Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I was really happy, but I was also looking forward to the Q&A session and like, oh my God, what question am I gonna get? And yeah, the stress of like answering the question pops in, you know? Yeah.
What is your question? What did you get, if you don't mind sharing? Or
Yeah.
can you remember? Or was it like
Yeah.
so much endorphins? You're like, oh,
I can't remember exactly, but I believe it was about what change I would make to the education system so that it prepares the students for um, a better life or a daily life or something around there. Yeah. So what change would you make?
that's
Yeah.
pretty hard. That's a pretty hard question, and I get that question asked every single day of my life, and I still don't know what the answer is. So well done you for trying to get through that there. The
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean, it's a challenging question. It's a challenging question, and yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not
But
gonna
I'm
ask
gonna
I'm not gonna ask what your answer was unless you remember your answer. But because
I, I do remember my answer because I said um teaching them like the skills that they need for the daily life, such as, teaching them what taxes are, what budgeting is, all those kind of things are very necessary for their daily life. And um I feel like that is something that's not really taught at schools, because I feel like when I came to uni, that's when I started budgeting. Until then, I actually did not even think about it. I knew what it was, but I think there was more emphasis towards it after school. Yeah, I feel
it becomes real, right? It becomes real. You have to do it now. Whereas at school,
like it's
yeah.
real, and you're like, oh my God, I need to know about taxes. I need to know about the percentages, the tax returns, like all those kind of stuff. I feel like it would be good if it was taught in school. Yeah.
Yeah, those things. Hopefully, our amazing people like Kendall, Flutley, and Benker will be in schools, which is a pretty cool product. But fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And then you get announced that you're a third runner up. What is that like for you? So you're the top five, and then boom.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I was very happy, proud, but I feel like after I got into the top five, I don't know, I had the sense of relief. Like I was like, oh my God, yeah, I am gonna get one of the five spots, and I wasn't. Yeah, I don't know. I was really happy with my position. I didn't have any. Um, I don't know. I didn't feel sad or anything. Oh, I could have got a better position or anything like that. I was very happy with what I got, and yeah,
Awesome. That's really awesome and well done. Like I said, that like this is awesome. Really proud of you and well done. And representing not just yourself, but a lot of community people out there who see themselves in you, which is really, really cool. And what happens now for you? So this has happened now. So obviously now you're juggling a lot of hats. You have your role as the community leader at the Hall of Residence. You also obviously have your science background there that you are still there. You're also doing the study. You also have the Miss Canterbury. I don't know what duties are there. So what does the next few months look like for you?
At the moment, like this is my first weekend off from everything, so I'm really, really enjoying the moment. And I think the next step would be if I want to go into Miss New Zealand or if I want to go into any of the pageants, then yeah, I will have to do more preparation for it. But at the moment, I'm taking like a seat back and just, you know, resetting.
Enjoying life, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
resetting. I'm gonna get into it again in a few weeks. Yeah.
Awesome. And I'm going to change focus totally and not talk about because that was fantastic. Thank you. But now right at the start, you said, that the dream of being a doctor is still in you. So what does that look like for you? And why still the dream to become a doctor? It seems like you're doing some pretty cool things here. Why med school?
Um, I've always wanted to be a doctor, and I think after doing these roles, I have more of a mature mindset. I feel like when I was 18, it was very I don't know how to describe myself. I think uh yeah, I don't think I was mature enough to understand what that role consisted of. But now, like, after working with doctors, after working with nurses and everything on my research and things like that, I realized like what it is like to be in the front line. And yeah, and I know that is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So
So that was also, I mean, I asked that question there because, a lot of people want to work in health sphere, but they don't know why. They don't actually know why. And, we had Marcus on a few weeks ago. We've had lots of people that have gone to med school, the postgrad pathway, and all of them have basically said they realized that while they were doing the undergrad, they realized what their real motivation was, as opposed to when they were 18. If they went when they were 18, they wouldn't
Yeah.
appreciate it as much. So that's really, I must say, people that get in and don't appreciate it, it's just a different mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, crazy. And let's talk about working with Georgia, because she is Miss New Zealand and you get to work with her. What is that like for you?
Yeah. I mean, it was amazing. Georgia is lovely. She's very, very sweet, and she knows what she's talking about. She knows um when she gives constructive feedback on your walks and your poses and everything. So it's been amazing working with her, and she's beautiful as well. So it's just yeah, and she's done amazing work for charity, and it's really amazing to work with the Wahine like that. And Meg Kenny as well, Megan, she's amazing. Um, she's a woman of so much resilience and so much passion. Like she has so much drive. Like she loves what she does. And that is where I want to be. And that is something that I want to do as well. And I love the fact that she runs pageants like this and doesn't orientate it towards just, how you look or something like that. It's more about the beauty of your personality and your purpose. I love the fact that she oriented the pageants around that way. And yeah, so it's just been amazing working with both of them. They're like gems. Yeah, literally.
Awesome, awesome. That's really beautiful. And obviously, gems find gems. Like civil proximity is important. So well done, you. Um, Sneha, so what do your family think about this? So the reason I ask this question is because sometimes conservative Indian families are like, oh, how dare you do this kind of stuff here? And I'm guessing your family was pretty supportive in you doing this here.
Yeah, my mum and my dad, they're very supportive of everything. They know that I'm that jumps into things without thinking about it. Like I sit down and I actually thoroughly think through before I take any decision. Um, and my mum loves it when I dress up. She loves it when I do little walks. She loves it when I dance. She loves it when I'm in the limelight. So she's like all for it. And my dad, whatever my mum says, my dad's all for it. So like, there's like no problem. If I can convince my mum, it's very easy to convince my dad after that. So yeah,
So my mom holds all the power, right? Essentially.
yeah,
Oh, that's really cool. And I guess that's pretty powerful because you have a strong female role model in your life that is not a random person, but actually your mom, which is there's nothing more stronger than that there.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, crazy. And do you have any siblings?
Sorry,
Do you have any siblings? Any brothers and sisters?
I have a younger brother. He's 16 now. Very, very, very tall, way taller than me. Like I'm 5'1" and he's like 6 foot already, and
Yeah.
it's just insane. The genetics have really like flipped there, and yeah, he wants to go into the army next year. So they're in Australia, so he's gonna go into the army. Yeah.
Okay. And talking about your family, what about have you been back to Kerala? Have you gone back and you visit there? What is it like
Yeah.
for you when because you live here in New Zealand and you go back, and I always find it interesting when people go back to wherever they come from, whichever part of the world. It's always an interesting story.
Yeah. So my family, we went back to Kerala in 2022, like December. And then yeah, we got back last year, early last year. And yeah, we try to go every like 2 years or so. Um yeah, it's always good to go back and just visit grandparents and everything, my granddad, my grandma. And I haven't seen my cousins or anyone for a while because my family's kind of like distributed everywhere in the world, and getting to Kerala at the same time is very difficult because the school times are very different in different countries. Um, yeah, but we're looking forward to going sometime soon for my cousin's wedding. So when that happens, it'll be a big family reunion. So
Yeah,
yeah.
amazing. Really, really, really cool. Sneha, we've been talking for almost an hour now,
Oh yeah.
which is pretty cool. Time just flies, and I'm sure there's so much we can delve into and so much we can talk about because there's so much learnings. But the
Mhm.
interest of letting you enjoy your Sunday because it's your day off, I'm not going to keep you. We do have
Yeah.
one last question though, and our podcast is called Baskets of Knowledge, and we invite our guests to share a piece of knowledge to put into our basket that Tanya, myself, and our listeners can learn from. So, are there any pieces of? Can you please share some knowledge to put into our basket from any of your experiences, whether it's studying while you're at university, whether it's being a regional coordinator, being an RA, being your Miss Canterbury, Miss New Zealand India, any of those, or just being Sneha?
I guess what I have to say is just enjoy the journey. Go with the flow, and life knows where it's taking you. Just grab onto the opportunities that comes your way and do your best. Like when you get an opportunity, don't just don't fluke it. Just try your best, utilize it as much as you can, and yeah, just embrace yourself and who you are as a person. Never be ashamed of who you are, because that, like, confidence really starts from you. And if you can't be true to yourself, you can't be true to anything that you do or true to the people around you. So just choose yourself, and yeah, do the best as you can. And even if you can't, there are going to be days when you wake up and you don't feel you're 100%, but it's always about getting yourself waking yourself up, and actually, even if you don't want to do something, getting there and actually, giving it a go. That's all that matters. Trying your best, that's what matters the most. Discipline. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. There's so much in there. I like the fact that just be confident in yourself. If you don't love yourself and you're not confident in yourself, you can forget about it, right? So it always starts with you, and always trying to impress other people. But if you don't impress yourself,
Yeah.
I remember this one when I was growing up. I met this one person, and they said to me, "If you were bored with yourself, how is anyone else going to find you exciting?" And that's always stuck with me. Like I was like, if you ever find yourself bored, that's always stuck with me. That can be done with everything in life. So that's really, really beautiful. Thank you for that share. Anything else that you want to cover, Sneha, that I haven't covered that you think would be interesting for our listeners or myself? There's so much. There's so many layers to people's lives, and we've just covered a tiny, tiny part of it.
I think we have managed to cover a decent amount. Nothing else is popping into my mind at the moment. Yeah.
No, beautiful. No, thank you so much for jumping on today. I've learned a lot about you. I've learned a lot about the journey. From being in Auckland and Palmy to moving to Dunedin to studying a program you wanted to get into, didn't get into it, and you found a different passion. And during that, you found confidence. You found being an RA. So it's really beautiful, and seeing how that's culminated to where you are at the moment. And look forward to seeing what happens in 2025 with or actually this year, 2024, and what happens in 2025. So yeah, thank you for jumping on. And for our listeners, thank you for jumping on as always. Hopefully you found this episode very interesting. If you haven't, go back and listen. I'm pretty sure you'll find something that stands out for you, because there's always something that stands out for everybody. Till next time, don't forget to put something into your basket of knowledge. Keep smiling and keep safe. Talk to you, everybody. Bye, everybody. Thanks, Neha.
Thank you for listening to Baskets of Knowledge. Yeah, we hope that you found something useful to put into your basket of knowledge. And as we said before, remember to put something little into your baskets of knowledge every week. And as always, feel free to like, comment, and share this podcast. Thanks, everybody. Bye.